the superintendent and the men and women of the Chicago Police Department, as well as the communities around the city, are doing a pretty good job in bringing the violent crime down. You know, our violent crime compared to last year and the year before is down about 32%. Now, is that where we want it to be? Of course not. But it is showing signs of progress. So I will be honest and tell you this, you know, most people in the city probably wouldn't want the National Guard here because that kind of signals, you know, an occupying force. But I'll be honest, if I were the mayor right now, because phone calls go both ways, I would call the president and see how we can make this work for both parties. You know, listen, Chicago is about roughly 2,000 cops down, short from when I left at the end of 2019. So to get additional resources, I'm sure we could figure out how to properly deploy them so it wouldn't intimidate the communities, and so we could kind of have a collaborative effort, because what you don't want is for them to come here and there's no lines of communication, because that could create chaos.
Yeah, you've had so much time there involved behind the scenes. You know, do you think that the National Guard involvement is necessary to get crime under control, or can it be handled at that local level?
I think it's being handled at the local level right now. But again, Laura, if we're 2,000 cops down, so if we want to send additional bodies, you know, I'm sure I could figure out a way to deploy them. But the men and women of the police department, as well as the superintendent, they're doing a really good job right now. So I commend them on the job and the effort that they're putting into it.
Absolutely. And like you said, to have 2,000 officers down, to have that lack of resources, they are doing the best they can, but why not? You know, why not send in the Guard, as some would say, just to get things under control? Because these numbers are devastating.
Yeah, they are. You know, the numbers are nowhere near what we would want it to be. But let's remember this, Laura. If the Guard does come here, they don't have any arrest powers. They wouldn't be conducting any criminal type investigations. So basically, you're utilizing them just as a show of force. And I think the best way to do that, especially in the beginning, I would deploy them like the CTA platforms and things of that nature. So it's a delicate situation. But again, if additional resources are heading our way, I think it's incumbent for the mayor and his administration to figure out how to properly and best use them instead of fighting back against it so much.
Right. And let's talk about that and what that looks like in your expert opinion, because you've had the experience that you've had. How do local police prepare to work with the National Guard? Because it does seem like Trump is most likely going to send troops soon. What will that look like? How do those meetings happen? Is it a staging area? How do you see that playing out? So
typically, when I was superintendent, we worked with federal agencies all the time. Never the National Guard, however. So I would imagine there would have to be some communication between the mayor, the governor, and the president so that we could figure out how you have that line of communication open. Because if you don't, the National Guard hasn't been deployed in the city of Chicago. So how do they really know where to go and how to best utilize and deploy themselves? They wouldn't. So you have to create that conversation and have that line of communication open. Because I tell you this, think about this for a moment, Laura. Every single day of the year, the Chicago Police Department conducts undercover investigations, right? So we have a lot of undercover officers out on the street, and we don't want the National Guard inadvertently interfering with those missions. So there has to be some form of dialogue between the entities. Otherwise, we're going to run into a problem.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.